Thank you, number one, for joining us, Calvin.
Yes,
really appreciate it. Lots to talk about. Sensational fight recently. Welcome to the Believe in Me podcast. Thank you for your time. Anthony Smith, of course, who I'm sure you are very familiar with. And I guess we'll just start with this. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks now since that fight, or even 3 weeks maybe. When you look back on that, and I'm sure you had a chance to watch that, how do you assess your performance? And I mean, because I'll start, I mean, that was incredible. What a fight that was, man. And when you watch back, how do you feel about it?
I feel good. I'm glad we were able to stay disciplined, stuck to the game plan. Landed the takedown, kind of took most of that steam off his shots in that first round. And after that, the best defense was staying on offense, staying behind the jab, pressuring him, smothering his shots. If you hear his breakdowns, he talks about needing space for everything he sets up. And we just wanted to take that away and make it more of a boxing range fight. And the elbows were just, happening on the fly. I felt like I was landing some good shots there. I felt like he was going to go down soon. But in hindsight, maybe touching the body would have been a little bit better. I might have got him out of there.
Man, even everyone at the desk, I worked the desk for that event. Everyone seemed to really be talking about this Giga kick. They just talked about it over and over and over. And then everything I seen you talk about, you just kind of blew it off. You're like, yeah, whatever. Like, he's got one thing, I got 100 he's got to worry about. And then I had your coach on talking with him, and he kind of had the same idea. Like, as it is what it was what it was. It wasn't that big of a deal. Did you guys really just kind of blow it off as here's how we deal with it and then move on to the next thing, or was that really a focus in your camp?
I mean, it was a focus, but I mean, like you said, I just would be more worried about the guy that has a lot more to threaten me. Looking for the kick. Definitely one of our plans is just, not staying open stance for him to land it, because that's usually when he's putting people down with it. But it's a good kick. I was training with Ross Levine a lot for this fight. He's a karate combat fighter, solid karate, but he's a 185-pound fighter. You can imagine what he walks around at a couple weeks out from his fight. Last couple weeks, it's been rough, man. I was like, if I could take this kid's kicks, man, I'm not really worried about the Giga kick, but it was clean. He did land it a couple times, but it's not like he caught me with, like, I wasn't engaged with my stomach or anything like that. Didn't catch me mid-breath, nothing crazy. And I felt like that was mostly what he had to offer, showing the kick or setups behind it and things. And I felt like the more we could pressure, it'd be, making it real difficult for him to get off those kicks. But back to what you said, man, appreciate the love from you guys. I heard some of the pre-fight stuff after the fight and things, but everyone else was counting me out, so appreciate you guys at least giving me some respect. I felt like
come on, Calvin, come on.
The week before the fight,
yeah.
So I do appreciate that, though. Everyone gives us a bunch of shit when maybe we don't give them the credit they think they deserve. No one ever comes and says, "Hey, man, I appreciate you sticking up for me in some of those spots." Because I think I was the only one at the desk. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah,
like Calvin Kattar's a thug, man. He just walks forward. So
a lot of similarities,
I appreciate that.
But the thing is, though, I'm so glad I don't have to do the desk anymore. Don't get me wrong. I will be doing the desk at some point, but now basically what I'm saying is commentating, you can't make a pick. You know what I mean? That hasn't been told us from the UFC. You know what I mean? But it's not a good look if the commentator's out there publicly saying, I think this guy's going to win. So I have that eradicated. In the fight, obviously, Giga kick is his big thing. Did he ever get you, though, and you were like, ooh, I felt that one, and you're trying to pretend that he never got you? And you know how it is when you eat a body shot. It fucking hurts. And you're like, just play possum, we're good.
Yeah. No, actually, the worst one of those I got probably, I don't even know if he knows it, but it was my debut fight against Andre Feely. The last, 10 seconds in the whole damn fight, I think I let him up, and he just threw off one last, see you later, goodbye kick, and felt like something was moving around in my ribs there. It was like the worst shot I took all fight. In the last 10 seconds, I was bullshit. I was like, you got to stay focused the full, fight. But with Giga's kick, he hit me with a couple good ones. Don't get me wrong, but nothing that was, if I would have got hit with 5 in a row, that would have been something different, or just kind of unleashing it. But I felt like after I ate one, I was like, oh shit, let me pressure this guy a little bit. And then it never got to that point where I felt like I was going to take a knee though, or anything like that.
All right, Calvin, let me jump in here, because obviously we're going to ask you about the Korean Zombie versus Volkanovski and all that shit. Okay. But tell me about, because I've never, you live in Boston, right?
Just 30 minutes north. Yeah.
I've never been there, right? But I've seen enough movies and I hear enough people talk, and I hear it's a tough place to grow up and all the rest of it. But what was your life like? Who was Calvin Kattar pre-UFC? Just tell me what it was like growing up in your neck of the woods, and, a bit of your background.
I was like the youngest of 3 siblings, 4 years younger than the oldest, 2 years younger than the middle child. So I felt like all their friends and things kind of always messing with me, picking on me, making me earn it and things, and always trying to play that little brother syndrome, trying to catch up to the big brother and then everybody else's friends and stuff. So I was hanging out with the big boys, a little young. They were all roughing me up. And then finally I joined the wrestling team back in high school, and kind of everybody slowly started kind of picking on me, messing with me. And then my brother actually would get, jokes from me starting to whoop on his friends for picking on me. He used to stop picking on me. He started getting on my side. But I joined the high school wrestling team. Prior to that, I had no real experience. No one in my family had really wrestled much or fought. Just kind of something I gravitated towards. I saw my sister's best friend take his first fight, and I was kind of hooked from there. Out of high school, I missed the feeling of competing wrestling. And so I started doing a little jiu-jitsu. It was a lot easier than wrestling. It wasn't like that back and wrestling sucks, man. It's a lot. It's a lot. So doing jiu-jitsu, I was like, I can do this. It was a little easier transition from being a fat boy after high school wrestling. And then I took my first fight, and I've been hooked since, man, that adrenaline rush. I feel like there's always tough kids from my area, and they kind of get themselves into trouble with street fights, things like that, just dumb stuff. And I felt like if they could have aligned themselves, done something better with it, that a lot of people could have made it out of this way.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this is funny. I talked about this with Tyson, actually, when I had him on. I think you and I are probably...
and that's Calvin's coach?
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
Just trying to tell the listeners. Tell the listeners.
He's a fantastic guy to talk to.
You know what I mean?
I think you and I are part of a small group of people that we're like in a club that we don't want to fucking be in for sure. Like your fight with Max, I would probably guess you think that's the worst performance of your career. I had a similar awful performance, versus Glover Teixeira, and the whole world shits all over you. But do you feel like you were born the way you were born to be able to go through fights like that? And then come back stronger? Do you think that's something that happened like in your childhood and upbringing? Like me and Tyson talked about that a little bit. Like are tough motherfuckers like that, are they born that way or are they made that way?
I feel like a lot of it has to do with what I've been through. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just that adversity, it just it makes you want it that much more, push through. At least for me, I feel like some people get small from it, some people get big. It either backs you up or you're kind of. For me, I just respond always well for it. Just don't deal with it since I was a kid, kind of. Just doing things the hard way. It was never always the best, but that's the only way I learned a lot of times. I always said, man, the people I lost to in wrestling, if I could have just punched them, I felt like I would have done better. And then post high school wrestling, I found my sport. It was a lot of kids that would beat me, would be like riding legs, but I was telling you, man, it's different when you start throwing punches. You get them like. Shows how bad you really want it when you start inflicting damage, taking damage. I said before the fight when I was fighting Giga, in my head I was like let's drown. You know what I mean? In my head, I was gonna drown first. Go take them to the deep end and let's drown.
Do you think that performance, like the shit that you went through in the Max fight, do you think you carried some of that with you into the Giga fight? Because I remember fighting Glover, right, and then after that. I remember thinking, like, no one's going to ever, like, that's probably never going to happen again. Like, that's worst case scenario. So I almost feel like now I know how far I can go. And I don't think there's a lot of people that can go that far. Do you like, is there some sort of weird confidence you get from that?
Yeah, I don't like to rely on the toughness, man, but, I'd rather, but if it is what it is, man, at the end of the day, I don't care. However I got to get it done, it's getting done, But, there was plenty of motivation coming off the Max fight. And then add to the 1-year layoff, 6 months of that was being cautious. The other 6 months was timing. But, developing that patience and sitting on that for a year, and then added to, a 7-0 contender that was overlooking me, calling out the champ, and being a 2-1 dog and everyone kind of going against you. It was kind of all those things just spiraling into one. And I don't really like to respond too much in the media side. Like I just kind of get quiet and really want to get to work and just save it all for fight night. I knew the more he jocked for wanting to be a title contender, he was only stating my case after I beat him.
As you brought up there, Anthony, the fight with Max Holloway, and we'll move past that onto maybe something that's a little more complimentary for you. But but you're right. You don't want to rely on toughness, but it's definitely a fucking ingredient that you need if you're going to do what we do or did in my case for a living. When you hear, and I forget what the stat is, it was like something like 500 or something shots, right, that you ate. Do you know what the number is? Do you answer any of it?
No, but I heard a crazy stat too. In the last
Yeah.
2 fights, I took more than probably like 90-something% of the like the
But
UFC roster.
that isn't nobody wants to hear that as a fighter.
Yeah.
That this motherfucker
Yeah.
teed off on me 500 and odd times, and he has the record for hitting someone in the face more times than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you hear that, does that give you motivation? Does it get you angry? Does it want to get your ass in the gym? Or do you just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm proud of it. That's who I am. I will continue. You do have to fucking kill me to stop me. Do you know what I mean?
I just focus on what I can control, man. That's just the next rep. I can't really change the past. I kind of like learned that. Just move on. Everyone else is kind of bringing it up, and I don't really sweat it to the point. Even answering the questions, I don't give it that either. I took all the motivation from it I possibly could. I picked up everything I can from it, and I've been through that in setbacks. I've played plenty. Like I said, everything I've been through. You don't want to forget them, but you also want to move past them and take the learning lesson from it, or else why go through it in the first place, right? So a lot I took up in that fight, and but now I'm preparing the next one. They always, say the biggest one's always the next one. That's the only one that's in my control, and that literally takes my focus. But even before that, I bring that down to like a day by day. Even I break down the day like that. I'm on to breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. Like I don't even get too far ahead. I just try to stay in the moment, and that's even down to the bigger picture, like the fights. I just always focus on the next one, man. That last one, I definitely have a lot to take from that, but I'm not even so much worried about that more than everything that I'm trying to achieve. And these are like my opportunities are right in front of me. I'm looking forward, man. I'm trying to pull those closer, and every win does that for me.
And so let me ask you this. Obviously, you're in the UFC, you're main eventing, you're a very established name, and I'm sure you have that title fight on the horizon, right? I'm sure you are working towards a champion. But at what point did you realize that, hold on a minute, this can be a reality, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm sure we've got kind of similar backgrounds. I was always getting into scraps and stuff like that. And then you discover some martial arts, you get a little bit of structure or wrestling, whatever it is, and you start cleaning up your acts and you think, okay, and then you get in the UFC and you're like, oh shit, okay, now I've made it to the UFC. Now I'm winning fucking fights. Now I'm in the main event, and hold on a minute, fuck me. This dream, this journey of be doing this one day, this could be a fucking reality. And the UFC world title is there to take. You become a fucking legend, make some real proper money. I mean, do you see that? Can you smell it? Can you taste it?
Yeah, I never doubted myself that I can get to the UFC. But I'm still proving it to myself that I belong against the best in the world down to every fight. Even this last one, I lose this, how quick these narratives and storylines change. I lose this one, I'm 0-2. Now my back's against the wall. You go 0-3 in here, you might get let loose. You know what I mean? So then who are you then? Real quick, shit can change, man. I don't overlook that. I take that, responsibility, and I put that work in every day. I earn it every day, and I don't overlook the fact that at any moment it could all be taken from you. So I think if you just continue to try to have the mindset of earning it every day, then you'll be in a good position. But I'm proving it to myself every day. Even this last win, I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I told you guys all doubted me. You know what I mean? 7-0, fuck that. You know what I've been through.
There it is.
I just like
there it is.
Yeah, no, I'll bring it right there too, man. But that's on the inside. I try not to let that out because that's it's powerful, man. If you hold that in and just, keep your mouth shut, get to work. And I don't want to give away all my chips, man. I save them. When it's fight day, I'll go all in. But other than that, I'm keeping all the chips. I'm greedy with the chips, Keep feeding me all this motivation. I'll take it.
So with all that motivation coming off of that fight, who are you looking at next?
Yeah, honestly, there's my.
It's kind of tough up there.
I stopped picking fights when I got to the UFC. And even then, I didn't really pick fights. I was fighting back in the day when tough people would fight tough people to get to the UFC.
Right.
And
me and Rob a long time ago.
Fought, you know what I mean? Me and Rob were number 1 and number 2 in New England, and we were about to fight. And then Tyson was managing Rob at the time, or coaching him as well. And I was the outsider. They were going to line it up. And Tyson's like, no, man, I want to see you both get to the UFC. That's how, long story short, started working with us both. But back then, me and Rob were going to fight. And now it's it's a little different. But, yeah, just as far as who's next, I stopped picking fights when I got to UFC. You make it there, that's when you just got to fight everybody, And
right.
For the most part, I don't care to get, I'm
there's there's got to be someone that stands out though, right?
Yeah. Come on.
So this is what I'm saying.
Calvin.
I think I'm gonna fight. I'm saying, I know. I think I'm gonna fight them all. Is what I'm saying. I just don't care what order. You know what I mean? It's I'm gonna fight all these guys. I'm hoping as long as I keep winning fights and I stay in the mix, which is what's in my head. I work so hard every day. No one outworks me, but I don't care what order. You know what I mean? I really don't care. Whoever brings me to the champ. He's got, him and Max got my highest respect for just what they do with the actions, not so much the microphone. Like they earn it, you know what I mean? So those are 2 fights. One, I want to get Max back definitely, and the people would after that fight wouldn't want a round 6. I'm looking forward to it, So whenever that fight happens, great. The champ, love to get that one, and he's the priority, obviously. But next is whoever gets me to him. If it ain't him, who gets me to him? I don't care who that is.
And when you look at Max Holloway, if he did fight Volkanovski the 3rd time, how do you think that would have went down?
Man, I don't know, but I would love to have seen it. Both just cleaners, man. Cleaners. They get after. I'd love to watch that matchup. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you a clear winner for sure, so it makes
Who would you rather punch in the face as hard as you can? Right? They're not going to move.
Everybody
They're not going to move.
Everybody
you just get to tee off. He's standing right there. You get to fucking run up as hard as you can. Bang! In a competitive environment, Alexander Volkanovski or Max Holloway. Basically, if you were going to assault somebody in the street and it had to be one of them, who would it be?
Damn, that's a good question, man. I don't know. I
know, I'm sorry.
That's not really my style, man. I like to hit them when they're looking at me. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And get paid for it. Like I said, man, a lot of tough kids from this area, they went that route. They ain't getting paid for it nowadays. So I'm just grateful to be getting paid. And whoever is next, man, like it's nice. It's nice to have Tyson focus on all that. Like I just focus on the meat and potatoes, the training. You guys know how it is, man. I don't want to focus on more. I'd rather focus on less, just the training. And whoever he says next, it's a signed contract. Let's go to work, And I know that day's coming sooner than later. I'm gonna have a next fight in the UFC, so I'm just getting to work on it now. I don't know who it is. In my head, I'm planning on the replacement. It's not happening yet, but they said they're gonna let me know as a replacement for Volkanovski and Zombie. So staying ready for that. And if
you're going to be on standby just in case shit hits the fan.
I'd like to. I mean, why not? It can't hurt. I'm waiting to get a okay from the UFC. If that is the case, they're going to let me know in a certain time frame. But once they do, if they let me know, and even if they don't, in my head, it's like try to chase that dog in a bone. I'm like, hey, something happens, they're going to want me. So keep my ass in the gym, stay ready. Just another reason to focus on it and get ready for something, have something to compete for.
What do you think of that fight, the Zombie and Volkanovski?
It's not the fight that we asked for or won, but it's the one we're going to get. Hopefully it pays out. I think it'll make for an exciting matchup for sure. I don't think those 2 guys could be in a fight without it being exciting. But you would think the champ, right? But we'll see what Zombie does.
I'd imagine he'd be favored, probably. He's probably the favorite. Yeah. Probably pretty goddamn exciting, though, because I don't think the Zombie's going anywhere.
Exactly. I'm excited about that one.